Bred to Win, brought to you by Arrowfield, the home of four-time champion sire Schnitzel.
Hello, I'm Caroline Searcy. Welcome to another week of Bred to Win, coming to you from a rather noisy Sydney Royal Easter show where we've been watching hundreds of thoroughbreds strutting their stuff in the show ring. Coming up, highlights of another big day of racing as the Sydney Autumn Carnival wraps up with All-Age Stakes Day, along with stallion updates and more in our Aushorse News. We bring you New Zealand's latest sire sensation, Prozier at Rich Hill Stud, plus highly respected Sydney thoroughbred vet Greg Nash. What are they looking for when they scope a yearling, and other questions answered. And from Thoroughbred Breeders Australia, James Murray with a modern day favourite in Arrowfield Stud's Horse Who Made You Love Racing. First though, the latest from the breeding world in our Aushorse News.
The Giga Kick's got a strong kick.
All-Age Stakes Day wrapped up the 2023 Sydney Autumn Carnival with Everest winner Giga Kick getting his Group 1 for young Victorian trainer Clayton Douglas, with the day's feature Group 1 winners both bred by Jonathan Munns, in whose colours the all-aged winner races. A son of Scissor Kick, who's now domiciled in North Africa, Giga Kick is another star grandson of the great Redout's Choice and close relation to dual Group 2 winner Rekindled Interest. He beat home the winners of 7 Group 1 races combined, Zaki and Cascadian.
Bases loaded in front, Militarise is heading top gear.
Champagne Stakes win of Dundeel Colt Militarise gave not only trainer Chris Waller the 2-year-old Triple Crown, but also saw the treble go the way of Arrowfield Stud Stallions after Schnitzel's Shinzo won the Golden Slipper and Militarise took out the sire's Champagne Double. Militarise is from the Dubawi mare Amarindia, while his second dam Satwa was a winner of the Prix de l'Opera and 2 Prix Jean Romanets in France. He was sold by Beamer Thoroughbreds for $550,000 to China Horse Club, Newgate Farm, Trilogy and Partners at last year's Magic Millions yearling sale. Dundeel is of course a champion winner of the Queen Elizabeth Stakes amongst his 6 Group 1 victories. He's now sired the winners of 9 Group 1 races. For the Chris Waller stable, it was a day to remember with his big O's, Osipenko and Olentia winning group races. The former son of Piero successful in the Frank Packer Plate, a $160,000 NZB yearling sold by Valachi Downs from the family of Street Cry and Shamadal. Olentia for Star Thoroughbreds won the James Carr Stakes, a daughter of Zoostar. She was a $310,000 Magic Millions yearling sold by Tyrrell Stud to Denise Martin and Randwick Bloodstock, and is a half-sister to stakes winners Malkovich and Wonderbar.
She's all shenanigans, 100 metres to go.
On a big day for Victorian-bred horses on Vobis Day at Sandown, it was a daughter of star Victorian sire Toronado who shone in the $1 million TBV showdown for 2-year-olds. She's All Shenanigans is from the Dane Shadow mare Sedgenhoe Valley and a full sister to Shelby Cobra. She was a $115,000 Magic Millions yearling sold by Kalani Park to trainer Simon Zara. Her Swettenham stud-based sire, son of High Chaparral Toronado, had a big week with a treble on Thursday, another treble at Seymour on Friday, and Victor the winner scoring a 3rd straight win in Hong Kong on Saturday. One of the features at Ascot in Perth was the Group 2 Karrakatta Plate, won by Super Smink, winner of the WA Magic Millions 2-year-old Classic, and by Super One, a son of I Am Invincible who stands at Lincoln Farm in the Hunter Valley. In other bloodstock news, Newgate Farm has announced the fee for their Cox Plate winner State of Rest. The 4-time Group 1 winning son of Star Spangled Banner will stand his first season at a fee of $44,000. Golden Rose winning son of Schnitzel in the Congo had his fee set at $33,000, and Blue Diamond and Canterbury Stakes winner Artorias will stand for $27,500 after his final run at Royal Ascot in June. Darley Australia has opted to stand the handsome son of Dawn Approach, Paul Lely, at their Northwood Park Victorian base in 2023. The Winterbottom Stakes winner proved himself one of Australia's elite sprinters and will stand at a fee of $16,500. Sebring's elite 2-year-old Sir Jardin will retire to Victoria's Blue Gum Farm this season. The winner of the Breeders' Plate and Todman Stakes also won the Red Anchor at 3 and will stand for $13,750. And with the success of his full brother Poisier, Highview Stud has announced Caulfield Guineas winner Divine Prophet will stand in New Zealand in the upcoming season. The son of Choisier already has group winners See You in Heaven and Prometto to his name. And Thoroughbred Day at the Sydney Royal Easter Show featured some well-known names and others who may not have achieved on the track but are excelling in the show ring. Corey Brown paraded ATC Derby winner Angel of Truth. Hong Kong star Hot King Prawn was also in action, with the main winners on the day, the Whitten Trophy for Best Thoroughbred Exhibit going to famed A Son of Nom de Jeu for Kate Hosey. The prestigious Inglis-supported Crane Trophy for fillies and mares was won by Touch the Clouds by War Chant for Queensland's Alexia Fraser, and the TBA-sponsored Pope Trophy was awarded to Royal Blue by Top Echelon for South Australia's Christopher Laurie.
100 left to go. Overpass as for Amelia's Jewel coming.
The Inglis Graduate of the Week is the winner of West Australia's inaugural $4 million The Quokka Overpass. The son of Golden Slipper winner Vancouver, prepared by Sydney's Bjorn Baker, and is from Exceeding Excel mare Walkway, her dam a half-sister to Western Australian champion Northerly. Overpass was sold for $75,000 at round 2 of the 2020 COVID-hit Inglis Easter Yearling sale from Corumbean Stud to Derby Racing and Will Johnson. John Thompson's Rich Hill Stud has an extraordinary knack for standing sires who have a massive influence on racing in Australia, including the likes of Volkswagen and Pentire over the years. Now it's their young son of Choisier, Poisier, who's siring Group 1 winners left, right and centre, alongside his barnmate Satono Aladdin and more. Let's get the latest from Rich Hill Stud.
Pulling right away, Prowess, to win it by 3.5 to Pavetra.
The filly Legado is driving at them and got up.
Tapple Doodle Doo from Major Beale. Tapple Doodle Doo's won the Tulloch.
Well, John, you've always had a stallion or two here at Rich Hill Stud that have performed exceptionally with Group 1 winners in Australia. But right at the moment, you have an absolute smorgasbord of stallions, in particular, of course, Poisier, who's the real talk of New Zealand. Shocking, continuing to do an incredible job. And, of course, the young stallions, Vadamos, Satono Aladdin, with so many good stakes performers coming through.
Yeah, look, it has been a wonderful period for the farm, Caroline, and of course they are all well-credentialed horses with good pedigrees and good race records and lovely looking horses, but as you know, that doesn't guarantee success, in our industry, so it's just so satisfying for everyone, associated with the farm, all our clients, that things have come together so well, and those people that have supported us are getting great rewards, and that's really what it's all about.
And this is over, dashes away, Poisier bolts in, 6 lengths.
Well, we'll start with Poisier. I mean, he looks absolutely magnificent here. He was always a lovely, strong, sprinty sort of horse. He won, of course, the Spring Stakes at Newcastle, but he really should have been a Group 1 winner. He has that ability in him, and now we're seeing that coming out in his offspring.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, look, he was in a very, very strong group of 3-year-olds. So, you're thinking back, you can think of Piero, you can think of Dundeel, you can think of Rebel Dane, you can think of All Too Hard, and they've all gone on to have stud success. So, he was right up there with the best in that year. As you say, unlucky not to win a Group 1. Injury stopped them in his tracks, but what he did on the track, he proved to us that he had genuine Group 1 ability, lovely pedigree by the great stallion Choisier out of an Encosta Lager mare, and going back to a great New Zealand taproot family. So, for us, we felt he had the credentials for success, and thankfully our judgments proved vindicated. And when you look at the horse, I think there's a lovely blend of Schwarzer and Encosta Lager. He's got that nice length and quality that the Encostas have, but he's also got that physique that Schwarzer threw. So yeah, a very nice blend of both stallions, and his progeny are very versatile. Obviously Levante has proved herself up to the best sprinters worldwide, and you know, Legato coming through, well, what a filly she is. Just proves what a versatile stallion he's becoming.
Attrition just in front. The filly Legato is driving at them and got up. The filly, the Kiwi, Legato has nailed Attrition.
And Prowess moved up now, takes the lead in the Vinery Stud Stakes.
You know, we're really talking elite fillies. There are just so many. It's not sort of like the one-hit wonder sort of stallion.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you know, on New Year's Day he quineled the what's called now the Auckland Guineas. It was the Great Northern Guineas. It's a time-honoured race. Very few fillies win that race, so Prowess proved herself, as you say, against the Colts in the Group 1 2000 Guineas, and now she beat the Colts in the Great Northern Guineas, and she beat, of course, another Poiseur called Waitak, who interestingly enough is out of a shocking mare, so a real ritual connection there. So a fantastic crop for any stallion in any part of the world.
The Aussies are really taking note of Poiseur now.
Yeah, they certainly are, and we're getting calls now, people wanting to buy shares, and I'm sure next year there'll be a lot of Australian broodmare owners want to utilise the horse. He's got great bloodlines, and he's a very interesting stallion. He line breeds very well with Dane Hill, several of his good progeny. As I said, Waitak's out of a shocking mare, well, Shocking's out of a Dane Hill mare, so he crosses very well on both sides with Dane Hill, which is a bit of a rarity now.
It's Pennywecker trying to fend off So Dazzling. She does so and becomes a dual oaks winner. Pennywecker goes on to win it by 2 lengths to So Dazzling.
Shooting for 5 from 5, and he's got it, and he's got his Group 1 Tokyo Tycoon.
At the moment he's New Zealand's leading second season sire, obviously the deeds of Sacred Satono in New Zealand, and Tokyo Tycoon, a horse we actually sold last year at Karaka and Te Akau brought, and he's unbeaten at this stage, and yeah, he's got it all in front of him. Just such a lovely, elegant horse, you know, beautiful pedigree. And I just believe he is one of the future stars of New Zealand breeding.
It's La Creek to the roar of the locals. She's got 4-5 lengths on them here. Shut the gate. The Arrowfield stud plate is all over.
Vadamos is such an elegant horse, you know, being by Monson out of a beautiful Aga Khan family, so had a lot going from both pedigree and we all know the Monson blood, they love the firm tracks, and they get better with age. So we're looking forward to Vadamos just going to new levels over the next few years.
Alligator blood tiring. I'm thunderstruck over the top, rumbling hard and got up.
Once again, versatility is perhaps the key to Shocking. I mean, you know, people remember him as a great Melbourne Cup winner, but they also perhaps forget that he won the Mackay Diva Stakes. At the time it was a Group 2, but it's now a Group 1 mile, and as I said, the reason it's a Group 1 mile is because horses like Shocking won it, so it got upgraded, and you know, there's a lot to come from Shocking as well, but he always seems to have a good horse, which is pretty much the street cry blood, isn't it?
And I always love catching up with Ace High. This is now in the next 6 months or so when we're really going to see his progeny step up.
Yeah, look, I just believe we were so lucky to secure this horse. I mean, he is by High Chaparral, and High Chaparral had a limited number of sons to go to stud, and they've all succeeded. I mean, Redwood in New Zealand, you can add to that list, and Sharp and Smart's won a Group 1 in Australia in the spring, a very, very promising horse. So I think we'll see some of his progeny coming through, hopefully as autumn 2-year-olds, and obviously spring 3-year-olds will be his go. Look, it has been a fantastic you know, couple of years for the New Zealand breeding industry in particular. We've got a lot of nice young stallions coming through the ranks, not just at Rich Hill, but at several other farms around New Zealand. You know, we've still got our proven brigade out there, so I think the New Zealand industry's in great heart at the moment. You know, obviously we need to keep investing into our brood mares, which isn't easy at the moment because they've just, the price of mares, particularly group winning mares, has just gone to another level. But we've got some new players in the industry. Obviously, you know, Brendan and Joe Lindsay at Cambridge Stud are putting a lot in. You know, Waikato Stud have got such a lovely broodmare band, so it's given us all something to aim at, and you know, I think with the stallions we've got now, and it's going to give me a lot of confidence to invest into the future, and hope the New Zealand industry could well go to new levels over the next you know, few years. So it is fantastic.
A G1 Goldmine analysis of star New Zealand stallion Poisier of Rich Hill Stud shows that of his 13 stakes winners across a range of distances from 1,200 metres to 2,800 metres, the mile seems to be his sweet spot, including recent Group 1 winners Levante and star 3-year-old fillies in Australia, Prowess and Legato. The all-important best affinities on the dam side include Zabeel at 25%, featuring in stakes winners Prowess, Amy's Jewel and Vitesse Bow. Kingdom Bay at 17%, and other stakes winners such as Dark Destroyer, Riadini and Soldier Boy feature when crossed with the blood of Red Ransom, Zeditive, Columbia, 8 Carat and Royal Academy. Great to learn more about New Zealand stallions having such an impact on Australian racing. Coming up after the break on Bred to Win, we hear from respected thoroughbred vet Greg Nash about what's involved in all the vet work at a yearling sale.
But what you wish for is the leader and clear by 2.
This week's Cambridge Stud Performance of the Week features an exciting 2-year-old by their own son of Savabeel, Embellish. What You Wish For was a promising winner of the Hastings 2-year-old contest in New Zealand on Saturday from the family of Grionte and Grand Journey from Smart Missile mare Grand Wish. The gelding was sold by Cambridge Stud for only $60,000 to Tiakau Racing's David Ellis and could be a bargain as the New Zealand 2000 Guineas winner Embellish looks set to follow in his champion sire's hoofprints. What You Wish For on track for a 2000 Guineas appearance next season.
Great nearly did, went back and quickened up nicely. Run a really good race.
Greg Nash is one of Australia's most experienced and respected thoroughbred vets, with many trainers, agents and breeders calling on his opinion when they're trying to source their next racetrack champion. I caught up with Greg at a recent Inglis sale to find out more about scoping and other veterinary techniques aimed at getting the best athletes to the track. Greg, we see vets around a sales complex all the time and at the stud farms and racing stables, but it's such an integral part of bringing a racehorse on through the yearling preparation to get to the racetrack and beyond, isn't it?
Absolutely, and this is the first start of the journey where we're selecting horses to be athletes, and my role in a veterinary capacity is to make sure that they can get to the track.
And you've had obviously a lot of experience with some of the great stables in Australian racing, but just tell us about some of your background and some of the work that you do, obviously with REC, but you know, you've looked after some wonderful horses over the years.
Yes, I have, and that's been a privilege for me to do that, and I was a partner in REC for 40 years. That's been a great background with Prof Hutchins and Percy Sykes and all my partners, and so that's been a big learning curve for me, and so that gives me a great basis for what I do now in helping select yearlings for my various clients. And obviously I've been a long-term employee of Gay, and so that's been for 25 years. We've been selecting horses together, which has been a fantastic experience for me.
Has much changed in the veterinary world? Obviously technology and the ease of things that you're doing, but are the basics still pretty similar?
As Percy and Prof said, for God's sake, look at the horse. The technology comes after that, and so that's always been my operational procedure. But yes, technology has really improved our ability to prevent injuries and also to diagnose what's wrong with the horse, which makes it much easier these days.
So then starting with just looking at the horse, so when you're inspecting a yearling here, such as, before an English sale, what is it in particular that you find most important? I mean, some people don't like, slack pasterns, or they like a more nuggety, very strong hindquarter, or they like a lengthy sort of horse. What is it that actually sort of conformationally you think makes a good athlete?
Well, for me, I'm looking virtually as a veterinary perspective, and so that I look at the overall conformation of the horse, how it walks, how the yearling walks. You take your assessment. We also listen to their hearts to make sure there's no abnormality there, check their eyes, make sure they've got 2 testicles. You do an overall conformation examination, then that's followed by X-ray and scope.
Then moving on to the X-rays, firstly, it's so subjective, isn't it? I mean, you're representing, you're often helping the vendors, but also obviously buyers and trainers such as Gai Waterhouse and Adrian Bott. But how do you sort of balance? There are different levels of what a buyer will find acceptable.
Yes, that's correct. And look, as far as looking for the vendor, you're giving an overall interpretation of what might be a problem for them when they come to the sale ring, and what might or might not be acceptable. Then as I work for the buyers and the purchaser, some trainers will live with a problem, some won't. And so people don't understand that I might give a different result for a different client, because that client is prepared to wait 6 months for this horse, where another client is not prepared to wait that long. And it also is whether you want a 2-year-old or you want a 3 or 4-year-old. And so your interpretation varies according to what your buyer wants. And we're lucky, we've had Dr. Stephen Hance, who's come out from the States, and he comes every year, and he gives advice on lesions that we might not have seen before, and the significance of whether that's going to affect the horse on the track. So that's always been a great learning curve for all of us because of his experience in the States and right throughout Australia and New Zealand.
And we do see some of the horses, I mean, they can naturally resolve some of these things, but we've also seen horses that have had some supposed major X-ray issues that have gone on and been absolute champions on the track.
They certainly have, and I must admit I've become far more forgiving over the 20-odd years that I've been looking at horses, because you then see how a horse copes with a particular issue on X-ray and becomes a good athlete and a winner.
And scoping, obviously, it is a big issue. What are your views as far as, it's really important for the buyer to understand if the horse is likely to have a wind or a breathing problem. But then from the vendor's point of view, you don't want to have too much interfered with in that young horse as that throat area is developing and all through the lungs. And what is the right way to sort of keep everybody happy?
Look, we've made some big progresses on scoping. 1, we have much better facilities now, and 2, with pre-sale scoping, which when I first started didn't even exist. And now it's very regimented, and so that 5 people are not going around scoping the same horse. They're all done by the vendor now, and so that those images are in the repository where we can view. We categorise them 1, 2 and 3. And 4, depending on how we see the arytenoid function. And look, there is controversy about interpretation. And look, that's being addressed at this time, with the thoroughbred breeders and also the veterinarians. And what we've been doing over the last 5 years is trying to get a standardised image of the throat so that people can make a valued decision, and so, you don't underrate or overrate the horse. We probably have been a bit more forgiving now in what horses do, and grade 3s, some people never buy, but some of them turn out to be very good racehorses.
It's a great career, isn't it, being a vet? You need a certain, obviously, set of skills and a great brain, but also a lot of diplomacy too.
Absolutely. There's a lot of diplomacy in it. But look, I've been very lucky that my career's taken me around the world. And, it's been fantastic, to be honest. Yeah.
A really informative piece there, and great to hear so much about yearling vetting from Greg Nash. Coming up after the break, while we often hear about the old timers of the turf in Arrowfield Studs, Horse Who Made You Love Racing, it's refreshing to hear a young man in the industry, Thoroughbred Breeders Australia's James Murray, with a modern day champ.
I think, although it was not too long ago, for me it was Happy Clapper. I think an old stalwart, a horse that was up there with Winks for a lot of his career, was around for a long time, 48 starts, and to be in the top 3 for 30 of them, I think that's an achievement in itself. And I guess the crown jewel in his cap was the 2 handicap miles, the Epsom and the Doncaster, and to do that with big weight, I think that really stood out to me, and was the reason I kind of fell into racing and then kind of fell in love with him as a horse.
Well, it isn't that long ago, but that's the beauty of it, because the industry keeps talking about wanting to get young people such as yourself involved. So how did you then lead into following racing enough to get a job with Thoroughbred Breeders Australia?
I think by following the racing, you start to follow the colours, and then in time you start to learn who's behind it and what studs are behind it. From there, I was lucky enough to get an opportunity through COVID to go work on a stud, work at a big stud in Newgate, and one that's up and coming and developing with lots of young horses and young stallions. And in time, I guess a couple of seasons there, and the opportunity arose at Thoroughbred Breeders Australia and Ozhorse, and I guess when you get a chance like that, you take it with both hands and really just run with it.
It's a horse like Happy Clapper too. I mean, he's the sort of horse you can see through, whether it be people trying to breed horses or people buying horses, to get a horse that races year in, year out with that consistency, that's what really appeals to people, isn't it?
For sure. I think sound horses which are tough, on speed, and can do it time and time again, and the key word consistent, I think that's what everyone's looking for, and it's really important whether you're buying horses, racing horses, or just a fan or a punter. It's important for everyone. So yeah, consistency is key, and he definitely had that in spades.
That's it from the Royal Show for this week's Bred to Win. Don't miss next week's show, including a really interesting chat with Case Clay, formerly of historic Three Chimneys Farm in the US, now the American representative for Arrowfield Stud. Plus, we catch up with Henry Plumtree about the new year for Brendan and Joe Lindsay's Cambridge Stud. That's next week. I'm Caroline Searcy. I look forward to seeing you then.
Bred to Win, brought to you by Arrowfield, the home of 4-time champion sire Snitzel.